Pleasant day everyone, my name is Christian Raymond A. Tornado from Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management 2A. For this moment, we will be sharing an information about solid waste management. But first, let's have some introductory about this topic. So let's say you were out walking and suddenly have a taste for a food, or let's say for example a chocolate. So you stop and bought some at a particular store. So after eating, where do you plan on putting the empty packaging now? Do you intend to carry it out until you find a trash can or bin, or do you plan to dispose it whenever you can? So it's best to follow the first choice, but many of us just throw the package out of the window or the other side of the road. But if everyone does the same thing, our environment will quickly become a giant rubbish dump of waste. So today, there are no adequate means to dispose of people's trash, and as a result, environmental problem levels have risen. So because of this, we're going to share some details about the subject entitled our solid waste management. So first, what is a solid waste? When you hear the term solid waste, you usually think it refers to waste that is solid rather than a liquid or gas. Surprisingly though, that it is not what signifies at all. In reality, the legal definition of solid waste has nothing to do with physical shape. It is concerned with whether or not the substance is considered waste. Solid waste is any substance that has been thrown and is not being reused, repurposed, or recycled. And the physical form of solid waste can be that of a solid and a liquid, a semi-solid, or even a gaseous material. For example, the garbage, the demolition rubble, business discards, sewage sludge from a water treatment facilities, ash from a burning power plants, and smoke from pollution scrubbers are some examples of solid waste. So there are many potential sources of solid waste, including our commercial and industrial enterprises, and our farms, and even from everyday families and community waste. Talking about solid waste, there is also a way on how can people manage to it. So it is called the solid waste management. So what it is a term that mainly refers to the collection or a complete process of collecting, treating, and disposing of solid waste. In the waste management process, the wastes are collected from different sources, and after that, it is disposed. This process includes the collection, transportation, the treatment, analysis, and disposal of waste. It is needed to be monitored so that the strict regulations and guidelines must or can be followed.
Good day, ma'am. I'm Lord Vitor from BHSM 2A. This is the type of solid waste. Municipal solid waste refers to trash that has been picked up by local government and taken to a designated dump. Hazardous waste refers to waste that is dangerous or potentially harmful to our health or the environment. Industrial waste refers to waste generated by manufacturing or industrial processes. Biomedical waste refers to the waste generated in human and animal healthcare facilities, medical or veterinary research and training facilities. Municipal solid waste is a common waste that can we see every day in our community. An example of these are papers, clothing, leftover bottles, grass clippings, and broken appliances. Next is industrial waste. This waste is common see in a big factory or infrastructures. Example of these are scrap metals, oil trash, textiles, publishing waste, and electronics. Hazardous waste. This waste can cause you death if you use it with no precautionary measure. Such example of this is paint and solvents, pesticides, mercury-containing waste, lithium batteries, and cleaning agents. Biomedical waste. This waste can commonly see in a hospital. Example of this is sirens, scalpels, disposable personal protective equipments, blood bags, and discarded medicines.
solid waste and environment, effect of solid waste on aquatics and animal life, effect of solid waste on health. So, first, I will discuss the effect of solid waste in environment. Number 1, waste breakdowns in landfills to more methane, a potent greenhouse gas. So we take out our trash and feel lighter and cleaner. But at the end landfill, the food and yard waste, the trash contains the decomposing and releasing methane, a greenhouse that 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Landfills gas also contributes to smog. Smog is fog or haze combined with smoke and other atmospheric pollutant, worsening health problems like asthma. Asthma symptoms such as cough, wheeze, shortness of breath, and chest tightness. Number 2, change in climate and destructions of ozone layer due to waste biodegradable. So the climate change is always present when we talk about the solid waste or the waste biodegradable. Waste contributes to the gases that thicken the ozone layer. This in turn worsens the weather and melts in the ice caps, raising the sea level and negatively impacting natural habitats and the homes of billions of people. Number 3, littering due to waste pollution, illegal dumping. Leaching is a process by which solid waste enters soil around water and contaminating them. So, second, effect of solid waste in aquatics and animal life. So, number 1, increased mercury level in fish due to disposal of mercury in the rivers. Mercury level is a type of substance that can harm to anyone if the amount will exceed to its normal capacity. Number 2, plastic found in oceans ingested by birds. Diba we ever saw a lot of plastics in the oceans, and these plastics will be ingested by birds which can cause them into death. Many birds are found on beaches with their stomachs filled with plastic debris. Number 3, resulted in high algae population in rivers and sea. So, what will happen if there is so much algae? If there's a lot of algae, it consumes oxygen and blocks sunlight from underwater plants. When the algae eventually dies, the oxygen in the water is consumed. The lack of oxygen makes it impossible for aquatic life to survive. Number 4, degrades water and soil quality. So, how does soil degradation occur? Soil degradation is caused by multiple forces, including extreme weather conditions, particularly drought. So drought is defined as the drier than normal conditions. This means that drought is a moisture deficit relative to the average water availability at a given location and a season. So third, the effects of solid waste in human. Number 1, chemical poisoning through chemical inhalation. A large chemical exposure may additionally cause more serious effects such as difficulty of breathing, coughing or pag-uubo, wheezing, humihingal, a faint feeling or malabong pakiramdam. The worst effect from the most harmful chemical are sudden collapse, convulsions, and possible even death. So number 2, uncollected waste can obstruct the stormwater runoff resulting in flood. Number 3, low birth weight. Many pieces of evidence suggest that pregnant women's exposure to air pollution is associated with a number of pregnancy outcomes including low birth weight, fetal death. Fetal death refers to the spontaneous intrauterine deaths of fetus at any time during pregnancy. Number 4, cancer. The faulty functioning of cellular solid waste management machinery can lead to cancer. Cancer is a disease caused when cells divide uncontrollably and spread into surrounding tissue. A neurodegenerative disease occurs when nerve cells in the brain or peripheral nervous system lose functions over time and ultimately die. Number 5, congenital malformations. So, the congenital anomalies comprise a wide range of abnormalities of body structures and functions that are present at birth and are prenatal origin. One of the causes of congenital anomalies is the exposure of chemicals and possibly illicit drugs. Number 6, the neurological disease. These neurological diseases are medically defined as disorder that affect the brain as well as the nerves found throughout the human body and the spinal cord. Number 7, the nausea or pagduduwal, vomiting, pagsusuka. Number 8, increase in hospitalizations of diabetic residents living near hazard waste sites Mercury toxicity from eating fish with high levels of mercury. Mercury is a persistent, bioaccumulative, and toxic pollutant. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is Shinlubi Stal from BSHM 2A. And for today, we're going to talk about the waste management concept. Kinsa man dinhi ang wala kahibaw og unsa ning waste management. Tanan masiguro to kahibaw kung unsaon pag segregate, pag-manage atong mga kaugalingon nga sagot, di ba? So, the 3 R's of waste management: the reduced, reused, and recycle. First, the reduced means to cut back on the amount of trash we generate. So, in reducing is simply creating less waste. So, gamay-gamayan na to ang atong mga sagbot sa pamaagi sa pag-reduce. It's the best method for keeping the environment clean. So, it's the first of the 3 R's. By reducing, you stop the problem at the source, making less waste to begin with means there are less waste to clean up. So if you are using this concept, reduce, magamay-gamayan ra ang mga sagbot nga atong mahinlo. Here are some ways you can reduce the amount of waste you make. So first, pack your own lunch in a lunch bag. Instead of buying plastics, buying food pack, so you will use your own bawnanan. Kaya aron adto lang nimo ay isud ang imong pagkaon, hugasan na lang, ma-reusable pa siya. Mo ni siya i-reduce. So pa sa mamaagi adto, magamay-gamayan ang pagkuha sa sagbot, paggamit sa sagbot. At the same time, makasave pa ka og kwarta. The second is the bring reusable bags to the grocery store. So, para ka sa store, instead of, di ba, og mangumpra ta, magnita og sudlanan. So, imbis nga mo provide sila mga cellophanes, you will use your own kanang bags, plastic bags, or kanang mga bukag, di ba? Use your plastic bags. So, dili na ka magasto og daghan nga plastic. Mausa pa imong dalhonon, wala kay dili pa sa among inagdala, and makasave pa ka sa Mother Nature. Kaya gamay ra man ang imuha nga magamit nga plastic, kaya nag-reduce man ka. Sunod is the reuse. Means to find new ways to use things that otherwise would have been thrown out. So, katong mga gamit nga malabay na, dili na nimo gamiton, pero okay pa siya, dili pa siya daot. So, pwede nimo siya ma-reuse. So, unsa man ning reuse? Ma-reuse. In reusing, taking old or unwanted items you might otherwise thrown away and find ways new for them. There are all sorts of ways you can reuse items to help reduce your trash footprint. So, muna siya mga examples na pamaagi sa pag-reuse ka. So, clean your own closet. So, imbis na magpalit-palit kag bag-o nga closet, why not, di ba? Hinluan ra nimo, imong koloran o bag-o, and reuse. So, at the same time, nakasave ka kwarta, and naka-reuse ka. And clean your house. Share your toys. Instead of buying too many toys, why not mo share ka sa lain, di ba? Sa muta, wala na mo gamita. So, aron toys are plastic, mostly made of plastic. So, imbis nga mag-save produce daghan kay nga toys, kay daghang mupalit, imo na lang tong ipa-reuse, or pwede pa maagi nimo og mag-garbage sale ka. Makakwarta pa ka, makasave pa ka. Taron man siguro ta familiar ani nila, di ba? But most commonly, is the recycle. So tanan man siguro ta kay bao aning mag-recycle kay gipa-implement man ni sa ato nga school, di ba? The recycle. So example of this is kanang simple mga plastics nga pangkwaon nimo, pangkolektahon nimo to make a bags. Gunting-guntingon, himuon siya nga unlan. Ang uban mga plastic bottles, himuon siya nga tamnanan. Himuon siya nga balay, himuon siyang lingkuranan. So, at the same time, nakasave ka, nakaless ka sa garbage ka nahimo, and you help Mother Nature. At the same time, recycles are beautiful. Maka-create mo siya kwarta kay na may uban nga mupalit, ganun mupalit, samot nagnindot nga recycle. And that's all, thank you.
Solid waste management. The solid waste management includes storage and collection. Storage and collection of waste at source is the first essential step of solid waste management. Examples of storages are plastic bags, plastic bins, buckets, and empty containers. So transportation is one of the part of solid waste management also. So waste transportation is the relocation of trans over a certain region. Anything from regular trash to potentially dangerous or radioactive or hazardous material can be shipped, such as dump trucks, trailer trucks, treatment tanks, and landfill tippers. So recovery is also one of the part of a solid waste management. So recovery is defined as many waste management operation that diverts a waste material from the waste stream and which results in a certain product with a potential economic or ecological benefit, and waste converted into energy source.
So the next process flow of solid waste management is called as processing. Processing is among one of solid waste management process, as like I said, in which it modifies the properties of solid waste to make it more manageable in order to dispose of, to recover a resource from, or transfer the waste is considered as processing. It helps to consider the waste if it could be useful for something or it can only be applied for disposal. For instance, a processing facility have an outlook for the certain plastic waste that it can be useful for making plastic chairs, or what we know as monoblock chairs. So the final stage of the process flow of the solid waste management is called as disposal. So waste disposal is referring to the process involved in finding a permanent place or home for the trash that can be recycled or composted, while also ensuring that no harm comes to the environment or to people's health that is surrounding the certain place. So following the correct methods for waste disposal will ensure lesser pollution and hazards for the environment. The most common way of waste disposal of solid waste is landfilling. In this process, the waste type involves non-reusable and non-recyclable substances, which are spread in a thin layer in specific low-lying lands or areas. These areas are dug deep where waste is disposed. Inside then a layer of soil will be used to cover it back. We also have what we call the waste compaction. It involves a proper technique that includes shredding the waste into the smaller pieces, pushing to mix properly, and placing it in such a way to fill the voids. Waste compaction results in reducing the amount and size of waste that ultimately results in less pollution of the environment. To have a final thought, since human population is growing at an exponential rate, everyone needs to do their part to keep our environment in a good shape. Garbage management strategies like landfilling and recycling can only help with the short-term effects of this massive waste generation. But if we want to resolve the solid waste problem for good, we need to start figuring out what causes it. If less garbage is produced in the first place, it will be much easier to identify environmentally sustainable methods of waste disposal. Thus, being responsible person of managing waste in the first place will ensure everyone and even our environment to be probably sustained for a long period of time.